For sentencing, counsel, you want to state your transfers for the record, please?
Zachary McLennan for the people.
Matt Boyd from Mr. Kubik.
And we have Agent Lesky in the courtroom as well with the sentence report. We're here for sentencing on a charge of operating while intoxicated, third offense, statutory maximum 5 years, guidelines scored at 7 to 23 months. Mr. Boyd, do you have any additions or corrections to the pre-sentence report?
We do not, Your Honor, nor do we have any challenges to the scoring of the guidelines.
Mr. McLennan, any additions, corrections, or scoring challenges from the people?
None, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Boyd, any elocution you want to make?
Yes, Your Honor. I know that there's an agreement in this case for a cap of 13 months. And I can understand certainly the reasoning behind the idea that my client needs to spend some time in prison in this case. When you look at his prior record and you look at the level of alcohol, I totally understand that. And I can understand the logic of the trip to Jackson being impactful and leaving a lasting image that will hopefully set him on the right path. And I believe that such a sentence would be proportionate to the offense and the offender. However, when I look at the circumstances here, I think that there's a range of proportional sentences here. And under the circumstances, my client is now almost 2 years sober. And verifiably sober with SoberLink and a Scram tether on it. He has set up a foundation for future success through meeting with counselors and going to a meeting twice a week for 2 years. And so while I totally understand and agree that the shock of a trip to Jackson and wherever the road might lead after that would deliver a strong message that would hopefully be heard, I think the message has already been delivered and received here without the need for that. That's not to say that Mr. Kubik doesn't need to spend time behind bars. It's not to say that you would be wrong to sentence him to a term of prison. But I think the appropriate sentence, considering the factors, considering the good work that he's done over 2 years, is at the low end of the guidelines here, and that's what we would ask you to do.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd. Mr. Kubik, you don't have to make a statement today, but you're allowed to. Is there anything you want to tell me, sir, or no? That's fine. Mr. McLennan, any recommendations from people?
Your Honor, we did previously allocute at our last sentencing hearing, and it reached the agreement for a 13-month cap on prison time based on the circumstances stated previously. We are in support of that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Kubik. If you could please stand for the court sentence. In this case, Mr. Kubik, there has been, it's taken some time to get to this day, partly because there was, as is your absolute right, a motion to challenge the constitutionality of the stop, and that motion was denied, and you took an interlocutory appeal, and that slowed it down some, and that appeal was denied as well, and then there was a plea with a 6-month cap, and we got to sentencing, and I said I wouldn't do that. In fact, I expressed that I was inclined to sentence you at the top end of the guidelines. So you withdrew the plea, which is your right, and I think it was on the day of trial or the eve of trial, we entered a different plea agreement with a 13-month cap. And in this case, I still think a prison commitment is appropriate, Mr. Kubik, for a couple reasons. One, it's your true 5th drunk driving conviction. You were first arrested at age 54 and you're only 61 now, and all your arrests have been alcohol related. In 2018, and impaired in Alpena. In 2022, an OWI plus possessing a gun in Alcona, and you failed to attend treatment then. 2022, an impaired in IOSCO, treatment in lieu of jail. 2022, a Wayne County OWI arrest at a .29, and then that was dismissed when, along with a probation violation sentence you got in another county. Again, in 2022, an OWI in Aranac. And then in 2024, this offense, you had been released from jail only 4 days before. And at 11 a.m., we're driving at a .29, .30 blood alcohol. So you're just on, this path of so many arrests, separated only by, 3-4 years each time. And treatment has been tried. It hasn't worked. Some jail has been tried. That hasn't deterred you. I think the time has come for you to get a little snapshot at you're 61 years of age. Lord willing, you got another 20 years or so in you. What do you want those 20 years to look like? In and out of jail or prison? Probably not. I mean, you made it to 50 without getting arrested. That was probably better than the last 10 years have been for you, be my guess. So I hope you get back to that pre-50-year-old mindset and not be in and out of court and getting arrested. But I think it is time to clearly communicate to you what your future is going to be like. Your future will be spent behind bars unless you make radical changes. I do think it's a proportionate sentence. It's within the guidelines. I'm going to commit Mr. Kubik to the Michigan Department of Corrections for a term of not less than 13 months, nor more than 5 years. Give him credit for 3 days previously served. There's a crime victims assessment of $130, court costs of $350, OUIL reimbursement of $200, state cost of $68, and I'm also going to assess a $500 fine. And Mr. Kubik, if you want, you can file an appeal to the Court of Appeals to challenge your conviction or my sentence or both. If you want a lawyer appointed for you and you qualify, you'd have to make that request within 6 months of today's date. We're going to hand you a piece of paper explaining that appeal process, ask you to initial one copy for us. Fill out the other one if you wish to take any appeal. Good luck to you, Mr. Cooper. And who else do we have in the box here?
Mr.
All right, counsel isn't present. Oh, counsel's not present yet?
Yeah. Where's your counsel?
Mr. Park, Mr. Parks. Yeah. No, it's just, all right, we're back on the record, and next we have a sentencing in People v. Shawn Mcgrath, file 25-93351FH, sentencing on probation violation. Counsel, you want to state your appearances, please?
Zachary McLennan for the people.
And James Gilbert here on behalf of Mr. McGrath.
All right, and Mr. Gilbert, have you had a chance to review the probation violation recommendations?
Yes, we have gone through it and we do not see any additions or corrections.
And the looks like the advisory guidelines at the original sentencing had been scored at 5 to 23. Any reason to revisit those guidelines?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McLennan, any additions, corrections, or scoring challenges from the people?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gilbert, go ahead.
Your Honor, I've known Mr. McGrath a long time, and that's probably not a real good positive thing to say that, he's known me a long time based off of my occupation. But in the course of that time period, I've gotten to know Mr. McGrath, and he does make some stupid mistakes, and that's what it is. It's dumb mistakes. It's not, he's not what we call a hardened criminal. He's doing this just out of spite or to thumb his nose at the law. He makes stupid mistakes. And again, that's what this one was. I know he's a very remorseful young man. We are in support of the recommendation, or even if the court would consider time served. He has served quite a bit of time. One thing he has done actively while in jail, and I'll ask to approach or have the bailiff give these to you,
is he's partaken in any course that he possibly can, whether that be for counseling for his substance abuse issues, whether it be in a religious standpoint. One of the authors of one of those letters, Dale DuVerding, is here in the courtroom. He works for the county as a patrol officer or a recreational officer. He also operates a church locally. I know Dale quite well, and he has told me about what they're willing to do to help Mr. McGrath stay on the straight and narrow and establish a support network for him. One of the things he does want to do once he gets his commitment to you taken care of is go to Missouri. Dale's telling me that they actually will help him get there because they believe that he probably even has a better support network there to accomplish the things and keep Mr. McGrath from falling back and being back in front of you again or making other stupid mistakes. And I would ask the court to consider all these things that he has been doing and possibly give him time served. But in any case, we're in support of the recommendation. Thank you.
Mr. McGrath, you don't have to say anything today, but you're welcome to. Is there anything you want to tell me or no?
I am sorry, and I did make stupid mistakes, and I am remorseful, and I would like to change. I'm working towards change for the better.
Thank you. Mr. McLennan, any recommendations?
Yes, Your Honor. Doing the PSI in this matter and the probation violation report, it appears Mr. McGrath does have a substance abuse issue. Part of his terms of his probation was to have an assessment done and get treatment for that. And he did have the initial assessment done and was referred to outpatient treatment services. However, he did not go to them. Eventually, he did set up an appointment, but was arrested prior to being able to go there. The report indicates he hasn't made any payments towards the costs he owes. And he was supposed to be reporting on probation in Sheboygan, and he missed 3 of 3 appointments there. I would say that since he's been in jail, it looks like he's been doing some good things, but Your Honor, based on, I would say it's a failure of his compliance on probation. I think the appropriate recommendations are appropriate in the report for 6 months of jail, Your Honor. Thank you.
Well, Mr. McGrath, I do agree with something your attorney said that, I know you well as a graduate of our recovery court program. You're not a malicious guy. I do agree with that. There is a troubling pattern here over the last 10 years. In 2015, you got a OWI in Texas that was pled down to obstructing a highway. And then your probation got revoked and you got 2 months in jail. In 2016, you got domestic violence in Las Vegas. You got probation, but then a bench warrant for failing to appear. I think that's a still open case. 2017, a possession of marijuana, 6 months jail, but there had been a possession of other narcotics that was dismissed as part of the plea. And then in 2019, a meth lab case, and instead of prison, you got recovery court. And you didn't go to prison, you had some credit before the sentencing, but you didn't get jail or prison for that. You got treatment court. You did well in the treatment court. I remember talking with you about, your employment and your progress, and I felt really good about where you were at, and I'm sure you did too. And then you graduated in 2021, December 2021, and then this year you got a felon in possession of a firearm with 5 to 23 months guidelines range. Another possible prison case. So you had a definite prison case in the meth lab, and I didn't send you to prison. You got treatment court. You had a possible prison in front of me in April, and I didn't send you to prison then. And I didn't even give you jail then. Do you remember why I didn't give you jail?
Yes.
Why?
Because I did good, so I drug court, and because
The job.
yes, sir.
I said I didn't want to disrupt your long-standing employment that seemed to be the most stable thing you had in your life. Within a month after I made that decision, you quit that job. Well, and you haven't paid a penny on the fines and costs. You made excuses to reschedule your reporting days, every one of them you had, which makes me think you were trying to avoid detection for drug testing. You continue to use drugs. We ordered you to treatment. You didn't go to treatment. And then you drove while high less than 6 months after I put you on probation. You've stood in front of me twice when prison's at the plate and you didn't go. It's strike three, Mr. McGrath. You're going to go today. I'm revoking your probation. You have not complied with the efforts that we've given recently to get you on a better track. And now that you're in trouble, you're going to classes in the jail. Yeah, good on you. And I got no doubt that you're well intentioned with that. The problem is when somebody doesn't have the screws right to you, you just do what you want. Those guidelines arguably don't even take into account your poor progress on probation, but I'm not going to exceed those guidelines. You avoided prison in 2019 due to recovery court. I gave you another chance of no jail in this case. You squandered that opportunity. Now it's just time for time. So I'm revoking your probation. I'm going to commit you to the Michigan Department of Corrections for a term of not less than 18 months or more than 5 years. Give you credit for 125 days previously served. That's within the advisory guidelines. It's not even at the top end. I do think it's proportionate given the circumstances of this offense and the offender. Fines and costs remain due and owing in the amount of any unpaid balance. And Mr. McGrath, if you wanted to appeal, you can do so by filing an application. We're going to hand you a piece of paper about that. Ask you to initial one copy for us. The other one's for you to fill out if you want to take an appeal. And with the parole out, hopefully they can transfer you out to Missouri, and I hope that you make some better choices in the long term, Shawn. And I wish good things for you. Maybe you don't believe that today, but I do. Good luck.